Welcome back. I am your host, Umar Ahmad. The title of the story we are reading is The Tale of an Orphan. Let's continue. For a moment, silence fell. Then Salamatu slowly lifted her head, her expression changing. What do you mean? She asked. Fatima held her gaze. Exactly what you heard. The money is gone. Gone to where? Salamatu demanded. I don't know, Fatima replied evenly. All I know is that I can't find it anymore. Salamatu let out a sharp, disbelieving laugh. You must be joking, she said. You have to be joking. Which money are you saying you cannot find? Is it my money? The hankalin kikwa? Are you out of your mind? What is wrong with you, Fatima? Fatima said nothing. She just stood there, watching her. Inwardly, her heart was racing and her thoughts were wandering. What will happen next? What will I do after this? What if she made Baba send me out of the house? Where will I go? Have I just made things worse for myself? Or better? Salamatu's expression darkened. After everything I've done for you, is this how you want to pay me? She snapped. I decided to help you and your father by marrying into this wretched family. Is this how you want to repay me? Her voice rose with each word. I feed you, I take care of you and your brother, and now you are telling me the money is missing? My hard-earned money? She pointed accusingly at Fatima. Why are you so wicked? Why is your heart so full of evil? Why can't you be grateful for once, for goodness sake? Fatima's jaw tightened. She did not understand why she was saying all that. But still, she said nothing. I have stayed with you like a mother, Salamatu continued angrily. I have taken care of your brother right from the cradle. And you were just 6 when I married your father. I take care of everyone's responsibilities in this house. And this is how you pay me? By disobeying me? By mismanaging my money? That was when Fatima spoke. Her voice was low but firm. You have never taken care of my brother or me. Stop claiming something you have never done. The words cut through the air. Salamatu froze. What did you just say? Fatima took a step backward. She knew what she was about to say next may earn her a slap across the face. You heard me, she said, her voice stronger now. You have never taken care of us. I took care of Farouk. I did everything myself with the help of Mama Asabi. Her eyes burned with long suppressed pain. I was just 6, but I did everything myself. I am the one who bathed him. I am the one who feed him. I am the one who cleans him, comforts him, and look after him, especially when he is sick. You have never done anything. You only care about yourself and the child you brought into this house. Her voice trembled, but she didn't stop. I have been doing everything. Why you and your bastard make life difficult for us? Salamato's face twisted in anger. How dare you? She spat. How dare you stand in front of me and say all this rubbish, calling my daughter a bastard? She stood up abruptly, her voice rising even louder. If I did not allow you to stay in this house, where will you be today? If I decide to make the life truly difficult for you, do you think you will survive it? She stepped closer, clearing her Fatima. Go and see what other stepmothers do to their stepchildren before you open your filthy mouth and accuse me of making life difficult for you. Yes, I have seen what other stepmothers do, Fatima said, her voice shaking but firm. They are not wicked to their stepchildren. They are kind, they are caring. Her eyes burned with emotion. But everything you do to my brother and me is wickedness. You are exactly the kind of wicked stepmother people talk about. Before she could finish her sentence, Salamatu's hand landed hard across her face. How dare you? Fatima staggered slightly, her hand flying to her cheek. The sting spread instantly, but the pain in her heart was far worse. Her eyes instantly turned red and teary, but she did not allow the tears to fall. At the same moment, they heard footsteps, familiar footsteps, and they both subconsciously directed their cases towards the direction her father, Malam Aliyu, walked in. Fatima lifted her tear-filled eyes towards him. Her lips parted. She wanted to speak. She wanted to tell him everything. All the years of pain, the suffering, the sacrifices. She wanted to tell him everything. Deep down, she knew he might not support her, but still, she wanted to be heard. She wanted someone to hear her truth, her pain, her predicament. Before a single word could leave her mouth, Salamatu suddenly broke into loud sobs. She rushed toward her husband, crying dramatically. If this is how I will be repaid, I wouldn't have said yes to the proposal back then, she wailed. Am I the only woman who has married a widower? Is it a crime to become a stepmother? What happened? Malam Aliyu asked, looking between his crying wife and his beautiful daughter. Salamatu wiped her tears exaggeratedly. I married you because I pitied you and your children. I accepted them as my own, she said, pointing at Fatima. And now, look at how she's talking to me, calling me an evil mother, an evil stepmother just because I scolded her. Fatima stood frozen. She lost my money, my hard-earned money, Salamatu continued, her voice rising with emotion. Goods worth 10,000 naira. I have not seen a single kobo from it, not even the goods themselves. She clutched her chest as if in pain. What have I done to deserve this? Do I pluck money from trees? I work day and night to earn every kobo. Her voice hardened. And your daughter is busy mismanaging it. Or maybe she even gave it to some boy outside. Fatima's eyes widened in shock. And when I questioned her, Salamatu added, crying even louder. She called me evil. She even insulted my children. She sniffed loudly, leaning into her husband. Is this the kind of respect I deserve in this house? Silence fell. Fatima stood there, her cheeks still burning, her heart pounding. Her chance to speak was slipping away, but with the way Salamatu was crying and exaggerating things, she no longer knew what to say. Malam Aliyu turned sharply, his face filled with anger as he looked at Fatima, who was still holding her cheek and looking lost. Before he could say a word, Fatima's lips trembled. Baba, she called softly. Kimi Shuru, Malam Aliyu thundered. Keep quiet. Fatima froze. How dare you call me? He continued angrily. Do you still see me as your father? If you truly did, will you stand here and insult my wife? The woman who has been taking care of you since you were small? His voice grew harsher with every word. You call her evil? You insult her children, your own sisters, and call them bastards? What is wrong with you? Why are you behaving like this? Fatima's body trembled. Tell me, he demanded, stepping closer. Where is the money? Fatima said nothing. Fear gripped her, but something stronger held her back from speaking, the thought of Farouk. If she told the truth, her brother would be dragged into this unending drama, and that she would never allow. Where is the money? Malam Aliyu asked again, louder this time. I don't know, Fatima replied quietly. What do you mean you don't know? Malam Aliyu snapped. Is this your first time handling money? From the side, Salamatu scoffed. I believe she gave it to some boys, she said. It's too early for her to spend the money. She must have given it to someone, a man perhaps. Malam Aliyu's eyes widened. To some boys? He repeated, turning back to Fatima. Did you give the money to some boys or a man? No, Baba, Fatima said quickly. I didn't give the money to anyone. Then, where is it? He demanded again. Fatima swallowed hard. I don't know. All I know is that the money is gone. She lied. What nonsense? Salamatu cut in. Just give me my money. How can 10,000 naira disappear just like that? Do you think money grows on trees? Her voice broke as she began crying again. Maybe she gave it to someone and she's now lying. Malam Aliyu turned to her and tried to calm her. Sorry, please stop crying. I will handle this, he said, patting her lightly. Then he faced Fatima again. Fatima, he called Nelly. Fatima! She looked up quickly and answered, Naam? How many times did I call you? He asked. 3 times, Baba, she replied. If you know you gave that money to any boy or a man, he said coldly, you'd better go and collect it now, he added, pointing towards the gate. Otherwise, this house will not contain both of us. Fatima heart pounded. Wallahi, if she refused to return my money, not her and not her brother will eat from my pot again. I will show her what is meant to be evil. Salamatu mumbled the last part, but it was still loud enough for the father and daughter duo to hear. I'm giving you 10 minutes, Madam Aliyu continued, pretending not to hear Salamatu's threatening word. 10 minutes to bring back the 10,000 naira. Nothing more, nothing less. His voice dropped dangerously low. Leave this house now. Without another word, Fatima turned and rushed out, her vision blurred with tears as she stepped deeper into the compound. But before she could go far and open their worn-out door, someone called out her name from behind. Fatima, Kifaya. Mama Asabe, who had been listening to the conversation from the beginning to the end, called out before Fatima could leave the compound. Fatima, Kizo, come here. Fatima paused, but before she could turn, Salamatu spun around from where she stood near her room. To, Uwa Guluma, what are you trying to do? She snapped. Are you planning to instigate her against us again? Mama Asabe frowned, but before she could refute what she said, Salamatu continued. Is it wrong for a parent to correct a child? Salamatu said bitterly. We are only disciplining her, and you want to poison her mind against us. Which kind of neighbor are you? Mama Asabe's face hardened. What nonsense are you saying? She asked sharply. What nonsense? Salamatu scoffed. Isn't it the truth? You've always been the one filling her head with rubbish, telling her she can disobey us by showing unnecessary pity towards her, she said, placing her hand firmly on her waist like someone ready for a fight. And now that we scolded her, you are calling her back to tell her what, if I may ask? What business do you even have in our family matters? Salamatu said, rudely. Mama Asabe shook her head slowly, but Salamatu wasn't done. Don't you know what your own daughter is doing outside? She added mockingly. Is that the kind of life you want Fatima to copy? Was that why you are calling her back? To push her to the path of your daughters? Mama Asabe's eye flashed. Fear Allah, Salamatu, she said firmly. Fear the day where it will just be you and your deed in the grave. The compound fell silent. Even Malam Aliyu, who was inside, pretended to be absent. What you are doing to this girl? Mama Asabe continued. Ask yourself, is it right? Turning your stepchild into a slave in her own father's house, denying her education. Is that what you call motherhood? And before I could say a word, you are already dragging my daughter into this. Shut up, Salamatu begged. Mind your business. How we run our family is none of your concern. And your daughter, it is important I drag her into it so that you can know the level of your shamelessness. She stepped forward, pointing a finger. Mama Asabe did not back down. She pushed her finger away, ready for whatever she may likely start. Remember, you also have a female child. Not just one. You have 2 of them. Whatever you sow today, you will reap them tomorrow. And whatever you wish for others will be for you and your children. So always learn to caution your smelly mouth and do what is good. Salamatu laughed harshly. What are you sowing? What are you reaping? Do you think everyone is like you? She asked, clapping her hands mockingly. I know your evil eyes are on Halima, my precious daughter. Salamatu said proudly with a tinge of smile on her lips. She is nothing like your daughter or Fatima. She will never become anything bad. She will never stoop so low and live the careless life your daughter is living. Her voice dripped with scorn. How can you even compare my daughter to anyone in this house? Not Rashida or Fatima can be compared to my Yara Albarka. She stepped even closer, smiling mockingly. My Halima will become someone people like you can only watch from afar. because she is meant to be a wife of a governor or a senator. Ai irinku sai kallo. Fatima stood there listening to everything. Her heart felt heavy, yes, strangely numb. This was not the first time Salamatu had spoken highly of her own daughter, while belittling her, but it was the first time she would be adding Rashida. But deep down, Fatima knew the truth. She knew who Alima was. She was intelligent, she was hardworking. She loved learning more than anything in the world. Even without school, she held on to knowledge like a treasure. The way she listened, observed, and remembered things, it was clear she had a bright future ahead of her, if only she was given a chance. While Salamatu dreamed of Halima marrying a governor or becoming someone important, Fatima dreamed of something different. She dreamed of becoming something by herself, something meaningful, something powerful. But how can she realize her dream when all she does was to slave around for her stepmother? She is 14, and she had already understood the principle of life to a minimum. Life isn't like a movie or a novel. Cinderella and charming prince don't exist in real life. Lost in her thought, Fatima turned and walked out of the compound. She did not look back. She did not say a word. Just kept walking without any direction in mind, until suddenly she bumped into someone. The moment Fatima bumped into the young man, everything he was holding slipped from his hand and scattered across the ground. Fruits rolled in different directions. Subhanallah, he exclaimed and dragged a long kiss. I'm sorry, Fatima said quickly, dropping to her knees as she hurried to gather them. Are you blind? The young man snapped angrily. Baki agani ne? I'm sorry, Fatima repeated, reaching for the falling fruits. As she raised her head, she froze. She recognized the young man. It was Kabir. He lived just down the street, and in her mind, it is nothing but the bad news. He was not alone. 2 other young men stood beside him, but it was Kabir she had collided with, and she was facing him directly. Are you blind? Can't you watch where you're going? Kabir barked angrily again. Jaka. Fatima tightened her lips and rolled her eyes slightly. She wanted to talk back, to return the insult, but she held herself. I said I'm sorry, she said, her voice barely controlled. Do you have to insult me? Did you just shout at me? Kabir roared. Fatima rolled her eyes while one of the young men beside him chuckled. She had apologized. Why are you still flaring up? He said with a deep, soft voice that is laced with a foreign accent. You won't understand, Farzan. Girls like her can't be tolerated. You give them an inch, they go for a yard. When Fatima heard the soft deep voice with strange accent, she subconsciously directed her gaze towards him, and it was then she noticed him properly. He looked different. His skin was lighter, his features sharper, and his hair fell neatly across his forehead. He didn't look like someone from around here. He looked like someone from India. There was something about him, calm, observant, and he was staring at her, not with anger, but with curiosity. Since when did Kabir know a handsome Baturi? Fatima thought inwardly. Ignoring everything he said, she found herself staring back for a moment. But before she could look any longer and admire his handsome and rare features, Kabir backed at her. Why are you staring and ogling him? He snapped, looking irritated. Take your filthy eyes away from him. Can't you see how you look? Just go before I get more angry. Maukochiakoi. Fatima's face hardened slightly. Without another word, she turned and walked away. She did not understand why he despised her and why he would always embarrass her anytime they met face to face, just like what he just did, as if he's better than anyone. Fatima thought inwardly and sneered. As she walked away, she could still feel their eyes on her back, but she did not care. She instead walked aimlessly away. Behind her, the young man called Farizan spoke. Who is that girl? He asked. And why are you so peevish around her? Kabir scoffed. She's nobody you need to know. You seem to know her, Farizan pressed. Of course I do, Kabir replied, pointing toward Fatima's house. She lives over there. He shook his head and continued. I hate girls like her. What do you mean? Faizan asked again. Why will you hate her? Kabir shrugged. You see these girls who hawk around? People think they are just working. But what they do? Kabir tooted and shook his head. What do they do? Faizan asked, showing more interest. Why are you asking so many questions? Awal, the third young man asked, smiling. Has she bewitched you already with her charm? What nonsense are you saying? Faizan asked, frowning slightly. I can't even remember what she looked like. All I know is that she was a child who looked pitiful and seemed to need help. Her face was wet with tears when she bumped on Kabir earlier. That tears were perhaps because she met someone who is bigger than her small body. The tears were as a result of pleasure, Awa said in a roguish way. Faizan frowned slightly, still watching the direction Fatima had gone. Why would you say something like that? That girl is still a child, for crying out loud. It is unfair and unethical for you to talk about her in that way. What he's saying might be the truth. He's just being crude with his choice of words, Kabir said. Faizan turned and looked at Kabir. He wanted to refute what they said about the innocent girl, but before he could say a word, Kabir continued. You see all those girls who hawk around? They don't just hawk their goals, they also hawk their body. And for a token, they go far worse than a real prostitute. She doesn't look that what you are describing, Faizan said quietly. He was still finding it difficult to believe what they were saying about the girl. She looked too little and pitiful to do what they were saying. Kabir let out a dry laugh. That's how they all look. Innocent on the outside, but inside they are everything but innocent. Faizan said nothing. His eye lingered a little longer on the path that Fatima just walked through. Then he shrugged his shoulder. But something about her didn't match what he just had. But he cannot refute it. When Fatima stopped walking, she realized she was standing in front of a school. It was a large government school surrounded by a tall fence, but part of the fence were broken, probably due to poor maintenance. Through those broken edges, she could easily see into the compound. She knew there was a gate and a gatekeeper at the front of the school, and she knew she would not be allowed to enter the school premises. But something pulled her closer, something stronger than fear. Almost without taking or having a second thought, Fatima moved quietly towards one of the broken parts of the fence and slipped into the school compound. Her heart beat fast, not from fear, but from curiosity. She wanted to feel and see what school life looks like. She moved carefully until she got close to a classroom, from where she stood, she could see inside clearly, and she could hear what the teacher was saying. There were students seated in rows, books open, eyes looked forward, listening. Some were showing interest, while a few looked distracted. Fatima stood there silently, watching with a tinge of smile in her lips. At first, she had no intention. She just watched, admiring them, the way they dressed, the way they sat, the way they held their pens, the way they responded to the teacher. It all fascinated her. Then slowly, the lesson began to make sense. The words started entering her ear and staying there because she could relate with everything the teacher was explaining. In our next class, we will discuss the remaining characteristics of living things. Look into them and let's discuss when next we meet, the teacher said, and the student grumbled. Characteristics of living things. Fatima mumbled, watching everything with clear eyes and more interest. Just when the teacher walked out, a young woman soon walked into the classroom, dressed in a uniform Fatima had never seen before. Fatima frowned slightly. Is she a soldier? But no, she knew soldiers did not dress like that. But what kind of uniform is she wearing? She wondered. The woman wore green trousers and a white top with bold letters written across it, and a white hijab neatly placed over her shoulder. On her chest and cap were the letters NYSC. Fatima's eyes lit up slightly. She could read it. Even though she stopped going to school at the age of 6, she still remembered her letters and numbers. She stood there, quietly, sounding the letter in her mind. NYSC. She didn't know what it meant, but she could feel that those 3 letters felt important. Soon, the young woman started teaching. She began a mathematics lesson. To Fatima's surprise, she could follow. She did not know the level of the class, but almost everyone in the class seemed to be her age mate. Yet, what they were being taught didn't feel impossible to her, even though it had been ages since she last sat in a class. She listened more carefully. Every word mattered to her. Every explanation settled in her mind like something she had always known. Then suddenly, the teacher asked a question. What is -7 plus -8? Fatima's eye widened slightly. That's easy, she thought. She waited, expecting many hands to go up, but surprisingly, none did. Silence filled the classroom. Without thinking, she gave the answer. -15, Fatima said. Her voice was not loud, but it was clear enough for everyone to hear. Every head turned. The teacher froze. Who are you? She asked, looking surprised. And why are you standing there? Fatima gave a small nervous smile. Fear crept into her chest. What if she chased me away? She is not a student here, one of the students said quickly. The teacher looked at her again. Why are you here when you are not a student of this school? She asked softly. Fatima opened her mouth, but no words came out. She was only smiling sheepishly with palpitating heart. After a moment, the teacher sighed softly and turned back to the class. She continued teaching without bothering about Fatima again. Fatima remained where she was. No one sent her away, and so she stayed. For the rest of the day, Fatima stood there, listening, learning, absorbing everything like a sponge. She no longer asked questions or answered questions, but she understood everything that was taught in that class on that day. For the first time in a long while, she forgot everything else. She forgot Salamatu. She forgot her father. She forgot the money they told her to find. Where would she even find the money that was never missing? Instead of stressing herself, she'd rather stay and enjoy school and enjoy the school's ambience. She would go back home and accept whatever punishment waiting for her. All that mattered at that moment was the lesson, was the feeling of learning and the feeling of understanding. By the time the school day ended, something inside her had changed, something strong, something undeniable. Fatima wanted more. She didn't just admire education anymore. She longed for it, and she wished to have it. As she walked back home, her steps were slow, but her mind was racing. She could not stop thinking about the school, the classroom, the lesson, the feeling. For the first time in years, she had felt alive, like she belonged somewhere. But reality soon followed a heavy one. How would she ever go back there and have full access like every student she saw in the class? She sighed softly. Asking Salamatu to sponsor her education was impossible, especially now, not after the issue of the money, not after everything that already happened. And her father, she shook her head. That was even worse. He would never listen, or if he did, he would only choose peace over justice, just like always. Fatima lowered her gaze as she walked. So what do I do? She thought deeply. If no one will help her, then she will have to help herself. The thought was both frightening and empowering. Government schools might not require school fees, but she will still need basic things. Books, writing materials, maybe even a uniform. Where will she get the money to buy all that? Her brows tightened as she tried to think. Every possible solution seemed to lead to a dead end. But then, something clicked. Rashida's voice echoed in her mind, the word she had said earlier that morning. At 14, you can make your own choices. You can do things your way. You can aim for yourself and even sponsor your own education. Fatima stopped walking. Right there on the road, she stood still for a few seconds, her heart beating faster as the idea formed clearly in her head. Slowly, determination replaced confusion. By the time she started working again, her steps were no longer uncertain. They were firm. She has decided. When I get home, she thought to herself, I'm going to meet Rashida. This will be the end of today's episode. Let's meet again for another episode. I am your humble host, Ahmad. Don't forget to comment, to share your opinion, to subscribe, and give a thumbs up. Until another time, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh.